you play not a very nice person. I'd say
not a very nice.
A little bit odd.
Yeah, not a very nice person. Quite a manipulative, avaricious.
Great name though, Mike Priddle.
Yeah, it is a good name. Yeah, he's not a very nice guy.
Yeah, but
and he's got troubles in his life.
Yeah. So ghost stories for those that don't know.
Yes.
So I went to the theatre to see it. I mean, God, it must be something horrific like 10, 12 years ago.
Maybe. Is it that long ago?
Probably.
Good
I'm
Lord.
almost certain it was.
Good
yeah.
Lord. Okay. Right.
The passage of time.
That's frightening.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then obviously we saw the film was coming out. Went to see it. I saw it about a couple of months ago, I think. Went to see it, but I'd completely forgotten.
Yeah.
What had happened, because the stage show scared the living Jesus out of me anyway.
Yes.
So then I got scared all over again. So it's quite a traditional Hammer House kind of style horror.
It is, yeah. I mean, I think Andy Nyman and Jeremy Dyson, who wrote and directed both the play and the film, grew up with, as did I, watching those old Hammer and Amicus films that were on the telly when we were growing up. You know, so it's definitely got that nod to it. I think it's got that influence. But I think it's pretty original. I don't think it's a film that you see all the time. You know, it's not a sort of well-worn, it's another one of these kind of films that we see once every month coming out.
Well, it's not a glossy horror, is it? It's
not at all. No, it's pretty gritty, I guess. Not necessarily in terms of content, but just in terms of mood and style, you know.
It's quite, I mean, it feels quite oppressive. You know, it feels, there's a kind of weight that kind of falls on you the second the film starts.
I would agree. I think, I mean, Andy Nyman plays Philip Goodman, who's a central character, who's out to debunk any elements of the supernatural.
Yeah.
You know? And so we see him sort of go on this journey of, I don't believe in any of this stuff. It's all total nonsense, to that being challenged. Really, with various twists and turns along the way. And I played one of the cases he is investigating that I've allegedly had this supernatural experience, and he's setting out to tell me why I haven't.
I mean, obviously we're not going to talk about any of the twists and turns that happen, but yours is one of the first kind of like, what the hell just happened moments, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so, yes, it is. Yeah, there's a few what the hell happened, which I'm really glad still are affecting. You know, I've seen it a couple of times, and I was really, really glad that what I was reading on the script a long, long time ago was fully realised.
Because presumably you went to see... Did you see the stage show?
I didn't see the stage show. No, I can't remember what I was doing. I was away for a lot of that. I remember it being on.
Yeah.
And mates of mine saying, you've
got to go and see it.
But I was away for a lot of that, I think. Anyway.
It was probably peak office time. Probably.
It might have been... Well, I mean, you said... Well, no, because that was even longer ago than...
Oh, God.
I was thinking it was Hobbit time, but that wasn't as long as 10 or 12 years ago.
No,
I wonder when it actually was. Was it?
I'm going to have to Google it, right?
Yeah.
Let me just check it out. So, but whenever it was, it's a pretty faithful... I was quite... obviously not concerned, but kind of intrigued as to how they were going to get it from stage onto screen, because they're often quite fraught journeys. They often don't do each other as much justice as you'd imagine.
No, well, I think what they've done is
2010.
2010, right? Yeah,
so not that long ago.
No, okay, yeah. So that would have been if it started then. It was beginning of Hobbit time,
right? Okay.
Yeah, I think they've just, by all accounts, they have treated the film totally like its own independent iteration of it. You know, so not been kind of thinking, we have to just film the play and put that on. You know, which can look creaky. You know, that stuff can look creaky when you just transplant a theatre production to camera. But I think this is completely cinematic. It's very, very filmic. This production, and it looks like it could only exist as a film. Well,
there's a moment with a night watchman who's played by Paul in the film.
Yes, indeed.
And that was the scariest moment of the theatre show. Just the way that it was, and the way that they do it on screen is even worse. It's kind of it's your worst nightmare, isn't it? Being stuck in a dark building.
Yes,
and
with
realising you're
noises
not alone.
You can't explain. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is something fantastic when you are genuinely scared in a theatre, as in a play theatre scenario. There is something amazing about that.
Yeah,
you know, when it's live and it's actually happening before you. it's incredible. Because I've been in The Woman in Black, and like, the screams that elicits is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But at the same time, of course, in a film, because of the editing process, you can really manipulate people.
Yeah,
and you can totally be in control of what people are seeing and feeling. And I think, that section of the film with Paul Whitehouse as the Night Watchman is as it should be, alarming.
Yeah.
And very uncomfortable.
It's a good film though, and it's got obviously a massive twist all the way through.
Yeah.
But the ending is very satisfying, I thought.
It is, yeah. But yes, I found that when I was, but it took me reading it. I don't think it does when you're seeing it, but reading it took me like a couple of goes at the end to go, hang on a minute, what have I just read? So
it's one of those ones that you want to go back and spot clues and stuff all the way through.
And that, I think, is very, very satisfying.
Yeah.
The second time I watched it, and again, obviously, I knew the story by then. But for me, between filming something and watching it, I do allow myself to forget as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
So I quite like coming to a screening of something that I've been in and gone, oh wow, I'm in this. I've sort of forgot that, and I forgot that detail and that detail, so that when it came time to seeing Ghost Stories, I had sort of forgotten some details of it.
Yeah.
And the second time I watched it, it was really satisfying, as you say, to go back and to be informed by hindsight. Going, that's that. Yeah. I love that.
When you get a script, particularly a film script, do you tend to focus? Do you read the whole thing, or do you just skip to where's the bit?
I read the whole thing.
Yeah,
I read the whole thing.
Is that? Presumably, when you're doing kind of your bigger films, such as like your Marvels or your Hobbits and stuff, the security around that. A lot of people, for instance, I've interviewed people that do Game of Thrones quite a lot.
Yeah,
and they only get like one sheet of paper with their kind of bit on it. So when they see it, they've got no idea what context.
Yeah, right.
How is it doing? How's it doing a Marvel one? Is it proper iPad?
You get the script
in a locked room in an iPad.
Yes, it is. Yeah. I mean, it is very protected. Yeah. So script delivered by a person, and they can. I mean, sometimes they'll wait while you give it back, and I mean, also when you're on set, there are security signs everywhere around set. It's almost like wartime.
Must be terrifying.
It's like loose lips sink ships kind of thing. So
and they really do with those big films.
They do, and you are constantly being reminded that not to leave your script around, not to take pictures and all that. But yes, the security is phenomenal around that, and similarly, with Ghost Stories, there are things about it which we don't want to leak out.
I remember when the stage show was on, it was very much a kind of, it's like with Andy working with Darren Brown all the time. One of the things that Andy is quite keen on is just like, come along, enjoy the experience, but please
keep it secret. Absolutely,
because
I think people, and from what he and Jeremy said, that as far as the play was concerned, they responded amazingly well to that. People did not give anything away.
I mean, the internet was around then. You could not find For Love Nor Money.
And I think the fact that that's still the case now, we're right in the white heat of the internet and social media, and people have been really respectful of our wish to keep it secret.
There is hope for the internet.
There is. No, there is. I think I think the way Andy and Jeremy have approached it is the right one, which is not sort of browbeating.
Yeah.
Because when people feel they're being told off and like being having a go at, they'll go, oh, sod you, I'm going to give away secrets. But actually, as Andy and Jeremy being the sort of nice people they are, and they're fan people. Do you know what I mean? So they are of this world as well. So it's fans saying to other fans, hey, let's not ruin this surprise.
It's a nice thing. I mean, you've had such a year. I mean, let alone decade. I mean, it's been Black Panther must have made you incredibly proud.
Yeah.
Just as a phenomenon.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I was proud of it as a film because I liked the film.
Yeah, it's a great movie on its own right.
But outside of that, just the sort of bit of social history that was and is now. I was very proud of it. It's
now the 5th highest grossing movie of all time.
Is it really? Yeah. I mean, I'm very, very pleased for it and us, and it couldn't have happened to a nicer bunch of people.
And presumably Everett Ross is popping back every now
I
and then.
imagine so. Yeah. That's the idea I get. Yeah,
that must be nice to be able to dip in and out of the different stories and kind of.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I think. I spoke to Kevin Feige, who's the head of Marvel, a few years ago about the idea of doing a few films. And so Everett Ross was introduced on the last Captain America film in Civil War. He had a small part in that, just to sort of say, oh, hello, this is me. I always knew that it would come to fruition more in the Black Panther story. So I think I think it's made its money back.
Yeah, I suspect so. I suspect there might be a sequel.
There might be a sequel, and I might well be in it, I think, yeah.
But aside from all the movies, soul is kind of like soul music, and funk is like a big part of you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I mean, just, music generally is my favourite thing in the world. And, yeah, so I've always... Any opportunity I've had to either... present radio shows or DJ, or
you've got one coming up in Easter, right?
Yes. Well, no, Radio 6. Me and Eddie Pillar, who I've compiled this album of jazz with, we're doing Craig Charles's Funk and Soul show.
Brilliant.
This weekend.
And how is Eddie?
Yeah, Saturday. Eddie's very good. Yeah. Do you know Eddie?
Well, only from reputation, and kind of as a young acid jazz fan.
Yeah.
I'm sat here waiting for the Corduroy revival.
Yeah, well, which is now here.
Is it here?
Yeah. Corduroy just made an album.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah, they've just made another album that's being released on Acid Jazz. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah. No, Eddie's great.
Back on.
Eddie's really good. Yeah, Eddie's really good. And so, I met him years ago. Obviously, I knew who he was a long time before he knew who I was.
Yeah.
But I think it's always interesting for people like him who've been around a long time to know that, such and such, he's an admirer of yours. Because he's got a lot of admirers in quite a disparate world who were really into that acid jazz talking loud thing.
Yeah, it was amazing.
In late 80s, early 90s. For people like me, it was a real culmination of a lot of my favourite things.
Yeah.
There was a mod thing to it, there was a soul boy thing to it, there was a hip-hop thing to it, and just general club culture thing.
You've not lived if you've not had a sweaty night watching the James Taylor Quartet.
No, indeed. Yeah, I've had a few of those. Yeah, I've had a few of those.
But two-tone is a big passion of yours as well.
Yeah, massive. Yeah.
I was talking to another journalist on Facebook about two-tone.
Yeah.
They raised a question which I'm going to pose to you. It's just like, back when two-tone and Madness and the specials and stuff and the beat were kind of at their apex, 83, 82, 83?
Well, earlier than that. I mean, the special split up in 81.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah. I mean, Madness were having hits after that, but...
They were unintentionally massive in like a school for school-age kids.
Yeah, they were,
without ever angling for that audience at all.
Yeah,
why do you think that is? Because the lyrics weren't school lyrics.
They weren't. I suppose, Madness were more... And again, Madness easily one of my favourite groups ever. But they were more kid friendly, I suppose. Lyrically, they were more family orientated, I guess, than Stand Down Margaret was. But yeah, I guess now it would be like, again, I'm clearly not at school anymore. I'm way too old to know what the kids are doing now. But I guess you've got kids of 12 and 13 mad into grime or whatever, whatever that is.
Yeah.
That's just I don't know that world anymore because the charts aren't like they were when we were kids.
No, sure.
You'd switch on Top of the Pops and in the early 80s, that from the specials to the jam to the beat, there'd be people talking about political, social issues that were not pandering, as you say, not pandering to kids' audience at all.
Yeah.
But kids were mental over them, absolutely crazy about that stuff, And it was danceable. People looked great. But you were also being fed. I mean, not fed, because I don't think anyone was being sort of, this is what you must think. But there were some writers around that, pop writers, who were the most political pop records I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Dylan included. Any of that stuff. It was like really, really unapologetically, socially political.
Yeah. It was amazing.
Which led to other, like Red Wedge came a few years later and stuff, But I still love that. I mean, that was the blueprint for everything pretty much that I've been into since. Sartorially, musically, partly still politically. I'm not the same political animal as I was when I was 11.
No. When you were 11, wow.
That was the first election I remember watching. It was the 83 election, and
that was Kinnock.
Kinnock, yeah. Right, yeah. Actually, no, it was Michael Foot. It was Michael. He fought the general election, and Kinnock became leader a few months after. But yeah, I remember falling asleep and being woken up on the sofa with my mum saying we came second. It's like, oh, never mind.
Yeah.
We got the silver.
We've had that a few years.
Yeah.
We've had that a few times since.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Talk Radio, Martin Freeman.
Thank you.
We're going to do 7 deadly sins. It's dead easy. It's just seven questions around the 7 deadly sins. First of all, gluttony.
Yes.
If you could eat one food for the rest of your life and you would never tire of it, what food would it be?
Let's say Italian's hard to beat.
It is.
It's very, very hard to beat.
As a genre,
as a nation.
Yeah.
I would say. But then I would also say, if I could just get away with fried egg and mashed potato.
There you go. Have that. I mean, it's quite a white meal. But
I remember one of my brothers saying to me once that a lot of the food I ate was just like white goods,
just beige
on a plate.
food.
Yeah, like fridges and ovens on a plate.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Lust. Who was your first crush?
My first crush. I mean, I probably had like school crushes. I remember I always had a thing. I've always had a thing about Marilyn Monroe, even when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Just there's not even. I mean, I suppose it's partly lust, but there is something about her, or about the image of her. I guess
she had an aura.
She had an aura and a vulnerability about her, which again, you could say, is that slightly dodgy thing of people wanting to fix people or help, because she had that aura, however true it was or whatever, but people wanted to help her or fix her, but I loved her, I just thought she was funny, very sexy, and
she knew what she wanted as well, didn't she?
Well, sometimes I guess, sometimes, and then clearly sometimes apparently not, she was pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay. Greed, excluding houses and cars. What's been your most indulgent purchase? Do you think? Or expensive?
Clothes. It would be clothes. Yeah. I mean, again, do
you have a favourite label? Because I think you're the same as me. When we reach a certain age, you kind of think, right, they're my 3 labels. I'm done now. I'm quite happy with those 3 forever.
I mean, there are things that I will always wear. Yeah, there were things I will always wear. I suppose I'll always wear John Smedley. I guess I'll always wear Clark's.
The classics.
Kind of. Yeah, Levi's. I like.
We know where you are with them, don't you?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. And again, that's a thing that's levelled at men a lot. I think. Why have you got 15 pairs of shoes that are almost all exactly the same? It's because I like them.
It's because I like them.
Because they suit me and I like them, and they do nice things.
I can walk in without having to try them on.
Exactly.
Because I know what size I am.
Exactly. I love it when sizes are good.
Yeah.
Because shoes are, you've got to go in, you've got to take shoes off, you've got to undo, if it's a cold, snowy day, you've got to take your boots off. And it's nice going into Clark's going, they fit.
Do you envy anyone?
Probably. I mean, I suppose I'm in an industry where we do envy each other. We do. I think everyone in my job, whether they want to admit it or not, looks at another person and goes, "Oh, why haven't I got his career?" But no one I can think of off the top of my head. No.
What do you consider your crowning achievement so far for Pride? Apart from kind of kids and stuff.
Oh, apart from kids. Kids. Yeah, being a father obviously would be that. Is okay. Well, in that case, it's doing work that resonates with people. I've done a few things over a few different, almost eras now. Yeah, terrifyingly, because I'm old enough for that. That people really still respond to, and I'm very proud of that.
Oh, good for you. Wrath. When was the last time you completely lost it?
Again, this comes back to my kids. It would have been something. It would have been over something. That if I relate, I can't remember specifically what it was. If I related it, it would sound totally inconsequential. Yeah. And it's usually those smaller things that have to do with being a parent that send me completely off the scale. That I think if I wrote this down, I would look absolutely mental. Yeah,
you'd be on a register
because this is not worth.
It's not worth.
And that whole thing is pick your battles. Like, well, this is not a battle worth going to war over, and I've just had my own war with myself in front of my kids.
And finally, I've never had to ask someone who's been the answer of a question so many times. But for Sloth, what's your duvet day TV binge? I mean, we've had people choosing The Office, we've had Sherlock.
That's nice.
Everything.
That's nice. Yeah, they're both mine as well. Yeah. No, I'm joking.
All yours.
I mean, back in the day, it was The Sopranos. I have to say. Yeah,
Can't go wrong
several years ago, I used to go mad over that.
Fantastic.
I mean, we didn't call it binging in those days.
No,
I mean, it was
just lazy.
DVD box sets. Yeah, absolutely loved that. That's still easily one of my favourite pieces of television art ever. Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's Shakespearean, I think.
Yeah. Martin Freeman, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ghost Stories is out on April the 6th. Mm-hmm. Advise everybody to go and watch it.
Please do.
Go with a friend and hold their hand throughout because you will need it. And thank you so much for coming on Talk Radio, mate.
Thanks a lot.